Hey everybody, this is John from MTG Nexus covering some Modern Horizons spoilers for May 21st, 2019. As a friendly reminder, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, leaving a constructive comment down below, as we aim to become the most informative Magic the Gathering channel on YouTube. So first up in today's spoilers are enemy-colored Horizon Canopy lands. So those of you that are familiar with Horizon Canopy in Modern, that's a card that taps for green or white, and then you can pay one, sack it to draw a card. This kind of mitigates flooding in some decks that try to have lower land counts. So decks like elves, decks like humans, hardened scales, several decks like that are able to run that particular thing. And this will open up 5 new color combinations. So enemy colors are any ones that are not normally allied, so like red-white, blue-red, blue-green, green-black, and then the final one, black-white. So each one of those color combinations will have their own Horizon Canopy land now. This opens up new deck building options for those various decks. So should be interesting to see how they play. As a burn player, I'm excited about having yet another way to mitigate flooding and burn. So props to Wizards for printing such a quality card. On to the next one. Collected Conjuring. So this was an interesting one. I think it could potentially see play in decks like Storm, decks like Is It Phoenix, decks like Burn could trigger its own interesting things as far as like cards that see play in particular decks. Now, interestingly, it's only sorceries, and it is a sorcery speed, so it's not quite as powerful as Collected Company being instant speed and just hitting creatures 3 or less. So it does not hit instants. So there is some restrictions on how this is built. So it'll be interesting to see how brewers brew around this in the coming days. Force of Despair. So 1 black, destroy all creatures that came into play this turn. It's an interesting, slightly narrow card. During your opponent's turn, you can exile a black card from your hand to cast it for free. So this goes along with the Force cycle, along with Force of Negation and Force of Vigor. Obviously, Force of Negation we covered yesterday, which is a negate during your opponent's turn for pitching a blue card. Force of Vigor is basically a double naturalize for pitching a green card, or cost 2 green. So interesting what the other 2 forces are for red and for white. Giver of Runes. So this is basically Mother of Runes with some slight alterations. Mother of Runes is able to target itself and give protection from any color or any other creature. This one targets any other target creature you control, protection from colorless or from a color of your choice. So this one enables protection from colorless, so protection from Eldrazi, protection from artifacts, etc., which can be relevant against things like Wormcoil Engine or Eldrazi's. So quite an interesting card. Could be a boon to white aggressive decks. Things like the mono white humans lists, the mono white taxes lists that are floating around. So this could be a very interesting card for those decks. See how this pops up in those lists. It's been a very powerful card in Death and Taxes and Legacy, so it's interesting to see how this particular version translates to Modern. Lightning Skelemental. So this card is basically Ball Lightning and Mind Rot tacked onto the same card. So 6/1, Trample Haste. If it deals damage to a player, they discard 2 cards and then sacrifice at the end of turn. So basically, it's Ball Lightning for black, red, red, with the ability to force your opponent to discard 2 cards, or Blightning is another example. So very interesting card. It'll be interesting to see if this sees play in some type of red-black aggressive shell. Waiting to see how that pans out. And Nimble Mongoose. So this is a card that was kind of a staple for Rug Delver in Legacy, and it'll be interesting to see if it can make the translation to Modern. It does have a very interesting set of keywords, Shroud and Threshold. 2 things that are not seen in Modern yet, I don't believe. So Shroud means neither player can target it with spells or abilities. And Threshold, when there's 7 or more cards in your graveyard, gets +2/+2, so basically this becomes a 3/3 untargetable for anybody. Very interesting card overall, and a fitting end to today's spoilers. As a friendly reminder, like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing. This has been John for MTG Nexus.